Make way for the president.
Steve,
The president
Steve, what's your plan to the war against Rumberg right now? Did you hear the news? Did you hear the news about what's going on? I don't know. They're going to freaking pay.
Mr. President.
At ease, gentlemen.
Silence! Mr. President, may I begin?
Please, do.
Very well. Everyone in this room has read the reports that the Queen of Rumberg is getting ready for a nationwide speech in 2 weeks. We have credible intel that she will be announcing a declaration of war against Sordland. The Rumbergian troop movements in the last 24 hours indicate they are bolstering their frontline strength.
The time has come.
Mr. President, at this point, we are sure they are preparing a large-scale invasion.
I have faith in our soldiers. We will persevere.
Unfortunately, faith does not win wars.
But soldiers with faith do, eyes off.
Give it to me straight. What are the odds of success?
Ha! Odds of success? Let me tell you something, Mr. President. Rumberg does not have any idea what or who they are dealing with. We will destroy their armies and send them back to whatever hellhole they came from. Rest assured, Mr. President, I am more than confident we will win.
I understand the situation.
Good. Now we have to talk about our defensive strategy. Let's begin with our land forces. We currently have the 1st Army deployed at Estor to reinforce the border. This is the place they'll most likely attack from. The 2nd Army standing by in Larian for a possible assault from the north. The 6th Army currently garrisoned at Narbel, awaiting orders.
Due to the potential invasion, all 3 armies have been undergoing vigorous drills, especially during the past 3 months.
They are prepared to fight and die for their country, Mr. President.
Good. That gives me some confidence, at least.
Good to hear. There's something else I wanted to mention, Mr. President. Your son, Frank, is currently deployed at the Rumberg border. He's serving in the 1st Army as a private first class. I thought you should know.
Thank you for letting me know, Izoff.
No worries, Mr. President. Now let's start discussing our paths to victory in this war.
Our top strategic location is Thornburg, Rumberg's capital and the Queen's residence. Needless to say, if we manage to capture the Queen, the war will end.
What if she flees Thornburg before we get there?
I am a proud soldier of Sordland, Mr. President. I'd rather die than give up Houseor to invaders. And I know a prideful person when I see one. If we strike fast, we can capture the capital and the Queen before she comes to her senses.
What are our chances of capturing their capital?
There might be an opportunity to push Thornburg after we capture Salzburg, but we are ahead of ourselves. We'll get there when we finish discussing the war plan.
Can we still win without capturing Thornburg?
If we can't do that, it will become a war of attrition. Whether we can outlast them depends on our economy.
Let's move on. What are the other objectives?
Aside from Thornburg, the location we must capture to even have a chance to win this war is Salzburg.
Salzburg is the intersection of Rumberg's complex rail system. If we take it, we'll have more options on both offense and defense.
Another strategic location is Dome. Capturing Dome will prevent us from being surrounded and cut off from the east.
It will also reduce the battle line that we have to cover with our limited numbers. We do have allies that could aid us, but I see no point. We can fend them off easily.
That's ridiculous. We can't fend them off alone. We need help. You're talking about fighting 1,000,000 men. 1,000,000!
Very well. Call our allies into the war.
We have begun communications already. Now we can make it official. At any rate, this is what we are dealing with. Yes? I'll let him know. Mr. President, David Weiss has requested to join the war planning session.
Let him in.
As you wish.
Mr. President.
What are you doing here, my friend?
I had a feeling that my guidance might be needed. Anton, please allow me to assist in the war plans.
David, you're a diplomat, not a general.
Of course I lack military knowledge of our esteemed generals, but I do know people, Mr. President, especially our own people and our allies. Beneficial though our foreign partners may be, I would still advise you to keep a close eye on them.
Why? Our allies love us.
I'm sure our allies will agree to fight on our side. However, depending on our plans and our past interactions with them, some may be more committed than others.
He has a point, Mr. President. It's worth keeping that in mind.
That is exactly why we shouldn't involve them.
Let's move on to our war strategy. Our first objective, taking Salzburg.
What are the plans to take Salzburg?
There are 3 options on the table at the moment.
One is simply to dig in and endure the first wave of attack, then retaliate after they are weakened. Our second option is to launch a full-scale offensive on Salzburg. We'll strike them hard and fast before they have a chance to draw first blood.
Which is insane in my opinion. Our third option is to do a pincer attack to wipe out their forces and then march toward Salzburg. In any case, our soldiers in the main army are well drilled and prepared to carry out any strategy we choose.
We need to fight smarter if we are weaker. Let's go with Izov's pincer attack plan.
Excellent!
So we are doomed.
The decision has already been made, Vulcan. On to our allies. Meanwhile, Agnolia will be assaulting Dome, creating a second front.
No, we have them assist us in the pincer attack.
Lesbia's armies will reinforce us on the front line. So let's assume at this point we have Salzburg in our hands. This is just the first step. From this point on, it will be harder since we're going deep into hostile territory. I see 2 options for us to move forward. We continue toward Thornburg and capture the Queen, or we turn our attention towards Dome. We risk being flanked from the east with either strategy, but it is a risk we must take.
Unfortunately, Agland and Nargis will be most likely shut down to the war happening at the border. Most businesses have already begun to flee the city of Lashiva, which is our primary trade hub. Thus, our economy will take a big hit due to this fact. Our industrial production and trade lanes will be crucial at this point in the war.
Our military-industrial output is at the highest it's ever been. We won't have a problem providing for our armed forces with what they need. 3 cheers for the Swordish military-industrial complex.
Hear, hear, hear. Unfortunately, our trade volume is not enough to support the war effort. We will have to rely on our own production.
Any questions, Mr. President?
I'm ready to decide.
Your decision, Mr. President.
We will march toward Thornburg and end this war with a decisive strike against the enemy.
It is decided then.
I'm warning you. If Rumberg listens to their well-trained officers, this plan will not work.
Adding it to our battle plan. Now, let us decide on our allies' movements during this phase. What about Lesbia's armies?
Lesbia's impressive army will do well in guarding our flanks. That should be their positioning.
Agnolia will probably try to assault Dome after they finished assisting us in the pincer attack. And that, gentlemen, is our plan against Rumberg. We only have one chance at victory. If we falter at any point during this war, it will be the end of Sordland as we know it. Mr. President, we need your executive order to mobilize the forces. That makes it official then. We have work to do. Get back to your post immediately!
Win or lose, this will be my last great contribution to my country. Let's protect our republic, Anton. I will continue to do this till my last breath, David.